right, well, let's reward good behavior, meaning being on time. So let's begin. And I'm going to slowly introduce myself and chat with all of you, tell you a lot about Chicago Field Studies. Let me ask if you could raise your hand if you were in my Roads to Business session. If you heard so I see Emma. Did anyone else? Okay, two. Okay, I wasn't sure if I should repeat the same thing. But since there's only two of you, I think I'm going to do that and then share my screen and walk through eligibility, answer your questions about tuition fees, paid internships, answer your questions about when to apply or what quarter is the best, all of those things. Does that sound like a plan? You ready to get started? So, hello and welcome again. I'm Karen Allen, and I've been running Chicago Field Studies for close to 15 years now. And before this, I was a director of a career center. I also worked in corporate banking. I also worked in nonprofit. I worked for a women's advocacy and workplace rights organization. And believe it or not, after college, I did a year of volunteer service and I taught men and women who were waiting in jail to learn how to read, to pass their GED literacy, and for those others, provide some education. So it was like experiential learning. when you're locked up, why not, right? So you as a student, though, of course, have choice. So as you heard earlier, maybe some of you, I love what I do because I get to know and work with many of you, which I think which is the real value, interesting and smart students. I also get to work with employers in every industry and field who really do care about you, as well as getting work done. And they are beating down my door actually in fall. I have more employers than I have students in fall, and we have close to 100 students in our fall program. So just to give you a sense of that. So through Chicago Field Studies, as I mentioned, you advance both your academic and your professional goals. Because we are a 1/4 academic internship program. That doesn't mean you can't do us twice, but we're not going to be a minor, a certificate, a major, right? We're giving you a course to think more critically about work, who you are, what you want in a job or in the future. And that informs, again, your career planning for the future. The great news is our course counts toward, right, as I mentioned, your general degree requirements. It counts towards your GPA. It may count toward a major, more likely though, a minor or a certificate or a distribution requirement. So as a 1/4 internship program, it means that you intern and take one of the field studies courses at the same time. So those hours are going to range depending on what other courses you might need to take during that quarter. It will vary depending on the industry that interests you. When you are interested in finance or consulting, some of those employers expect full-time. So that's where you really want to meet with and plan and prepare when might be a good time to do and participate in Chicago Field Studies, right? As I mentioned, or as I'm going to mention, with Chicago Field Studies, I'm going to talk a little bit about the courses. And we have, I think, 8 different courses. If you would like, I'm going to share my screen for those who can also see if you're not on your phone. But this is the Chicago Field Studies website, and we have courses in social justice, public health, modern workplace, which counts towards a history distribution requirement, legal, I mean, and that's also policy, right? Humanities, which counts towards your fine arts and literature distribution requirements, environment and sustainability, civic engagement, business, and business culture. In the summer, we offer an additional course. So those are the courses, and again, you can read more on our website. I'll come back to that throughout the session today. But you meet once a week in the evenings because we know you're going to be interning Monday through Friday, typically maybe 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And in our course, right, you'll meet with a professor or an instructor. Sometimes they're business practitioners who also might have a master's or a PhD. But their course helps you integrate that internship with the topics that they plan. So let's say you're interested in going to law school or pre-med or medicine. Then we help you get an internship in that related topic of public health. And again, we have strong relationships with hundreds of employers you'll see soon. So, in the course, you're going to be reading, right, as any good seminar. Usually it's around 10 to 15 students in a course. You discuss, debate, analyze, think more critically about work and the development of labor over time and history. You look at, examine workplace issues like unpaid versus paid, right, internships. There's a lot of debate about that. And obviously the culture of work today, as that is evolving and changing with the pandemic, right? And again, as I mentioned, the course counts towards your general degree requirements, your GPA, and again, distribution, minor, certificates, sometimes majors, your major. So through Chicago Field Studies, you get to try out a field, right? Not everyone knows what they want to do, and we don't expect you necessarily to know that. You might, or have a sense of that, but you're going to gain experience that's going to add a piece of the puzzle to help you figure out, is this the particular area that you want to go into, or maybe try something else. You're going to get a chance to expand your network, and you'll hear from a lot of student clubs that networking is really important. But you get a built-in network within Chicago Field Studies. The other students in the class provide you information and a contact in that particular with that employer or that industry. And obviously, the other thing you'll be doing is developing skills for your future internships and or jobs. And as I've said, we help you secure an internship. And the way we do that is once you are applying and you've applied and have been accepted to the program, we then have there's a group advising session, and there's a whole bank, like 300 plus employers that partner with Chicago Field Studies who want to hire you. So they've shared with us internship descriptions. That's something you'll review. We also have evaluations from students in the past. So you get to read how other students evaluated both quantitatively, what was their overall experience in the supervisor, how much did they learn, as well as qualitatively. You'll get to read their comments about what they did, what they liked, what they didn't like, what was the culture like, and all of that helps you choose which internships you might want to be considered for. Some of our organizational partners, just a few, want you to apply directly. But for the majority of our employers, they'll either post their internship in Handshake, and we show you how to do that, but the majority actually like me to email them with all of the resumes of the students who've expressed interest. And again, we will help you through our student consultants or peer advisors come up with this list based on your research, and you're doing this a quarter before you're going to do Chicago Field Studies. We help you refine or develop or expand your resume. In addition to the Northwestern Career Advancement Office, I think we try to take it to the next level, if you will. We have you go through a mock interview. We have alumni who give back, and all of our students are asked to complete at least one practice interview. Right? As I mentioned, we have evaluations for you to review and help prepare so that you're putting forth the best self when you are interviewing. Your eligibility, right? When are you eligible? After your first year. And if you're a transfer student, the good news is you're eligible, right? So you've already completed a year of school. My recommendation is to really meet and talk with a faculty or your school's academic advisors to determine when's the best time to do that. You know, if you're new to Northwestern, I wouldn't recommend the first quarter as a transfer. I would recommend get your bearings, be engaged, figure out what you want to join, what clubs, and then come and apply to Chicago Field Studies. That's a way, especially if you're transferring in as a second or even as a third year student. And then some students may already have relationships, they may have networking and ties, or they find internships on their own, and they want to still do a course along with that to advance, again, their academic goals. And for the most part, I think 99%, we allow that. I do verify and vet that this employer understands our expectations. And those expectations for any employer is to be a partner in your learning. They have to give you the direction, the orientation, the connections, the work, the feedback to help you, right, learn about yourself and their particular industry. The goal, of course, for them is that you're contributing directly to the goals of that team and that organization. You're eligible, even if your GPA is below 3.0, not to worry. We ask that you provide a writing sample. Since our courses are seminars, we want to know and set you up for success. Also, we're going to ask for maybe an academic advisor or a faculty letter of recommendation, but it can be in an email, short and sweet. And we can talk about that if you don't yet have that. And then let me kind of pause there, and I think I'd like to share with you a sample list of some of the internships, because that's often a question that I receive. So again, I'm going to share my screen, and you can go to internships.northwestern.edu to poke around our website, because much of what we have here is outlined. So if I go to the course, this tab right here called Internships, you'll scroll down and what you'll see are a variety. This is my own makeshift organization. There's no rhyme or reason I did this. So let's say you were interested, like, I don't know, I want kind of health or the business side of health. So you might go to business operations. And again, there's a list of employers just to give you a feel for who has hosted interns in the past. Maybe you're interested in the finance field, but you're like, I don't know what I want to do, right? I know I want to work possibly in finance, and you'll see a whole host. Now, our website doesn't give you their website, the internship description, or the evaluation. We keep them protected. Otherwise, I can't facilitate internship placement. So here's an example again of a variety of the employers in the finance sector, and that grows quarter over quarter because the new employers, let's say you secured something outside of CFS, you're able to bring that in and then we add to our list. So advertising and marketing, of course. Let's say you are interested in law. We don't have quite as many in the legal field because many of the law firms want first or second year law students. However, we do have a couple. Saper Law is entertainment and it's run by a woman. Oh boy, is she a powerhouse. Dahlia Saper, she's amazing. Davidson and Ciceri is an immigration law firm. They serve professionals as well as refugees coming in, and this too is run by a woman. You gotta love that, right? Blake Horowitz is a civil police misconduct, civil law firm, and this is another great experience in addition to policy, kind of legal advocacy, environmental law and policy center, for example. If you wanted the public sector of law, we've got the state's attorney's office, prosecutorial side, or public defenders. Fashion and sports, we are in the Midwest. If you want a good fashion or sports, maybe try the coasts. So we're pretty weak in that area, and that's where many students will find their own experience, right? And sports, we can talk about that offline. But again, health and medicine, one of the things we've tried to do is organize it by, here's the advocacy organizations. Then we have some direct service or clinical. We have community engagement, education. We have the business side of healthcare. This list has actually grown since then. Nonprofits, right, that do some sort of health, pharmaceutical, right? And then, of course, research and data analysis. We have an excellent partnership with the Feinberg School of Medicine. Every quarter, they take anywhere from 3 to 6 interns in a variety of departments. So again, we help this because we've worked with these employers and they're waiting patiently for you and your resumes. So again, you can scroll through our sample list. It's not, the end all because this is, it's dynamic, right? And so you can see some of the organizations in the humanities, the museums, the art. We've got government and politics, environment for any of you, right? Environment and science, sustainability. It's so important for you and your generation and your future. So we are beginning to partner more and more with organizations there. And of course, the startup, the data science, the data analytics, that's pretty much in almost every field or industry. People want your data analytics skills, some of your data science, computer science, the list is endless. So I wanted to point out that this is internships.northwestern.edu, and then you can peruse our website to get a feel for what else is out there. All right, so what else can I tell you? Okay, I have a question you might want to know. What's paid and what's not paid, right? That's a very important question. So I'm showing the how to get an intern from our employer page, and this is from last year. I want you to know that we advocate on your behalf for all employers to pay a stipend. Now, unfortunately, still 44% of our internships are unpaid, but more are paying a stipend of some sort. We have one employer, they pay a stipend of $9,000, but frankly, that should be an hourly wage because it's close to $26 an hour. So you'll see the hourly wage average is $31. But I have to say that is skewed, of course, by one of our employers who pays, I think, $37 an hour. Isn't that crazy? That is more than I make. So, sorry, you don't need to know that. But again, I want you all to know that just because you are in a class, you're earning credit, you're doing good work for them, we always educate them about the Fair Labor Standards Act, which sometimes they'll say, oh, you got to get credit because we don't want to pay you. And I come back and say, do you realize how much tuition the students pay for our courses, our Northwestern courses? Do you realize students incur additional costs of travel, and they can't necessarily be on the meal plan? So we work with you and our financial aid office to augment your financial aid if you are in an unpaid internship. Okay? So this is information for employers, and I welcome if any of you or your parents want to host an intern. I often work the parents in the room because they too sometimes have hosted or want interns. So just to give you a sense. And then, again, what I want to show you is really who has done field studies. So let me open up our annual report. This is from 2020. In fact, we're still working on our data for the end of this academic year, 2021, which just ended yesterday. And we had over 560 students participate in CFS during this year. So as you can see, our numbers continue to go up. And that's, if you think about it, if there's about 2,000 students per class, about 25% of students do the program. All right, what year in school are you? Well, you can see over time, as I think I mentioned earlier, I think we're now at about 40% second year students, 30% juniors, and 30% seniors. We're also seeing students who will do our program 2 or 3 times. Yeah, that's possible. You can use up to 6 units of academic credit toward your degree with field studies. Now, a couple of ways that students do this, and this is probably too in-depth, but students may secure their own internship, and it's a year long. And so one quarter they may choose one of our courses, a winter quarter they might choose a different course, and spring they might choose a different course and use the same internship. But some students, we're seeing an increase. In fact, I can't wait to see these numbers. We're going to be analyzing them. Will do their sophomore year, right? And then they go off and do other internships and cool things junior year. And then they find senior year, like they want to change their course, where they want to head toward, or they have their full-time job lined up and they want one more experience. They want to fill their credits and they want one more kind of cool internship. So we're seeing an increase of seniors coming back to us as well. International students, we have a higher percentage of international students who will do the program because, right, it gives them a chance to get work experience in the United States. But I do want to say that Chicago Field Studies allows students to be anywhere in the world because we have at least one online course that we offer every quarter. In fact, pre-COVID, we offered this course for 10 years. And so in this fall, I have a student who'll be in this course. It's called Business Culture, and he's going to be in Sarajevo, which is his home. He is going to be interning for a German company. He's going to be participating in synchronously the same time as the course because it's very discussion oriented. He'll be participating in the course in the evenings or whatever time it is in Bosnia, and he'll be interning during the day for that employer. So we do allow students to intern in New York, in California, in Atlanta, in Texas, in Minneapolis, wherever you are. The key is that you are able to take that course synchronously. For some of our students who are in China or Korea, the time difference is really hard. Sometimes you're taking our course and it's 3, 4 a.m. That's less than ideal, and we don't really recommend it because that's important sleep time, as we have come to learn. So again, you can see some of our top majors and minors. Not a surprise, the largest majors are sending their students, so economics, psychology, political science, comm studies, learning and organizational change, journalism, and our minors, of course, are quite the breadth of minors is amazing, at Northwestern. And then, so we are a Weinberg-funded program, though we serve all of you, regardless of academic discipline. So you heard from Christina, who's one of our student consultants. She's a Beanon student and economics. She actually wanted nonprofit when she started with us, and then she shifted into finance. But you'll see that we have an increasing percentage of students in School of Communication, in the School of Education, McCormick. School of SPS is the School of Professional Studies, and we actually have adult learners who are coming to get their bachelor's degree, and they use their full-time job as their source of information in the course. So again, gender by course, pretty expected, I guess, in some ways, though I'd really like this to change, the business. I mean, look at the, I think we have 3-to-1 males to females in the business field studies course. No reason for that, and I'm hoping that this 2021 will give us a better balance of gender. And then by race, our average class size is 13. 59 students, I'm trying to get a percentage, have participated in the second or third time. This is the stat from last year, but we know it went up. So 20%, I know now it's closer to 25% of students secure their own internship. We've had students at Apple, Google, IBM, you name it. They get it, and then they want to do a course, and that's perfectly acceptable. And in the summer, I think it's closer to 60 to 70% secure their own internships. And you're going to hear about us through a lot of events, especially the first couple of weeks. Don't stress about it. Just as you're thinking about your academic plan, put us on your target for a particular quarter, okay? And then again, our student satisfaction, out of a Likert scale of 6, students like our program, they like the course, they really like the instructors. And the internship, as you might expect, I'm still surprised we haven't gotten that to a 5 out of a 6, but we're right around there. And of course, the career advisors, I am in the process of hiring a colleague, so there'll be 2 of us to help you, in addition to the 20+ student consultants who are there. So the number of employers, again, we'll see that be going up. We have 266 last year. This year, I think we're closer to 300. And then here are some employers who hosted it 3 or more students in the course of 2020. So a nice variety of employers. It looks like we got to fix that. Oh, there it is. Screen. And then again, the paid versus unpaid. And then we have employers and students rate the skill development. And so that's another piece of our program. All right, so now let me stop there. I've been talking for about a half hour. I'd like to invite your questions about the course, about the program. And I would prefer you to take yourself off mute and ask the question. But if you're unable to and you want to put it in the chat, that's also fine. Tuition fees are like any other Northwestern course. We are accredited. We have to go through curricular policy review. Our courses have to make you think more critically about work, right? They have to have some academic rigor, though we're very aware that you might be working 40 to 50 hours a week, especially in the investment banking or the private equity field. Some students are working that many hours, and they'll take our course in the evening. And it's the only thing they will do, okay? All right, questions? No one's got questions. I'm gonna try to anticipate more of your questions. Financial aid does cover Chicago Field Studies. If you're working in an unpaid internship, if you are on financial aid and you're commuting, we increase your financial aid award by covering your transportation costs, and we allocate $15 a day in food costs. that would be added to your bank in financial aid. What are some other common questions? If I shut up, maybe one of you will actually ask a question. So I'll be quiet for a minute.
So you can do Chicago field studies with a program or like an internship that's not necessarily in Chicago.
Correct. We have one course currently, business culture, that allows you to do that. Last year we had all of our courses were online, so many students were interning anywhere and everywhere. It was kind of fun to see the breadth of organizations open up. But this business culture online, unfortunately, it does not count toward a distribution requirement, but it does count you towards your total degree requirement. It adds to your GPA, and we go from there. All right, so by any chance, could I get access to the recording of this meeting? Yes, we'll make that available. I'm not sure how, but somehow we're going to make that available. My colleagues, so you could email CFS at northwestern.edu afterward, and she'll send you the recording. So how do you anticipate COVID impacting CFS in terms of in-person versus virtual? Well, what do you think, right? So it is going to be dynamic. It's going to be based on your comfort level, what that employer wants, and negotiation. Some of our fall internships are going to start in person. And I think that, depending on how things evolve, either students will become hybrid or work some days at home and then some days in the office. There's still a pretty big share of our internships that are actually remote. So you're working from your residence hall, your apartment, from wherever you are. You can also find an office if you needed to. So unfortunately, I think we know that students have made the best of remote internships. Probably some of you have done that as well, right? You make the best of it. But the learning and the ability to just eavesdrop and be present can add to that experience of what it's like to be in that industry and field. So we do hope that eventually students are returning in person, but we always are going to leave that to you and to that employer to negotiate. And of course, we help facilitate that as well. So we're not going to leave you out there to be like, how do I do that? We actually have template emails, and we also have, again, relationships with these employers to discuss it with them. So not a problem. What else do you need to know? Any other questions?
When students repeat Chicago field studies, like if they come back for a second quarter,
Yes.
would they do that in a similar field or different?
Doesn't matter. Whatever they want. So I've had students who did a public health and then they switched to private equity. Private equity took over our healthcare system, right? Okay, that's a commentary, forgive me. But so they may have a change of heart or interest over time, or the opposite. We have some students who will try out finance and then they're like, oh, this is not for me. I really want to try more consumer behavior, data analytics, trying to understand what motivates people to buy these services or these products, right? Obviously, that's a very big field with our technology tracking most everything we do. Yeah, you have to forgive my commentary. How competitive is the application process? Well, I like to admit everyone who follows the rules. So it's not competitive unless you don't do it in the time frame or you don't complete everything. We want students to be engaged. Now, some of the things we ask you to do before you apply, one, talk to your parents. I have lost employers because a couple of students didn't inform and ask their guardians, that if they can do field studies. And some parents have a misunderstanding, like, I don't want you working, and these were paid internships, right? I don't want you working and then we're paying tuition fees. They didn't quite get what our program is. But regardless, sometimes we need to make sure that students are going to behave in a very respectful, professional manner. I've lost at least 6 employers over the years because students behaved unprofessionally or disrespectfully, and that's not acceptable. So some of these good employers walked away from recruiting any Northwestern student, and that's not good. We want to build the brand value. We want more and more employers to want to hire you. So we all have to do our part. Me too, right? So the application process, I think we're now at a stage where it's going to probably become more competitive because our numbers are so high, and the university had actually cut the field studies program, cut one of my colleagues. So now I'm scrambling to hire. And if you can imagine serving 500 to 600 students a year, you want a professional career advisor in addition to a peer mentor, a student who's gone through it, right? So we'll see. Hopefully you'll get in. And Lauren, I look forward to reading your application at some point and admitting you to the program. Once you're admitted, you're assigned both a student consultant based on your interests and that student consultant's interests as best I can. And then again, you'll be advised by either me or the new person I hire, and we help you throughout the application process, throughout the quarter, and even beyond. I just was working with a student yesterday who completed CFS, and he wanted his resume updated and integrated so he can compete for consulting. And he'll be going through fall consulting recruitment, and he wanted my opinion. So you've got me for life until you fire me. So that's the good news, and we have a wonderful LinkedIn group. I'm always posting new jobs there or internships that we can't fill. I transferred to non-Weinberg. We serve you all. I had transferred to McCormick. Great. We're happy to help you if you need us. You know, not all students will need field studies. You might want to do the McCormick co-op program or things like that. But absolutely, we've seen an increase in McCormick students participating in the program as well. And if you go back to that annual report, you can see the breakout or what percent are coming from McCormick or School of Education, social policy. Sometimes we'll have students in social policy, right, learning and organizational change, that are required to do a practicum. And they may also do field studies either before or after that practicum to get one more experience. That's true in the School of Communication, the EPICS program. You know, because we are high touch, I call us, appropriately high touch, because we're facilitating, we're working with you. Some of these other programs say, go get your internship, here's our resources, and then they verify that with the employer. But we actually, I send your resume and I email employers your resumes, and then they reach out directly and we go from there. All right, no worries. Any other questions? Bring them, keep them coming. What else do you want to know? I'm in my home. I live in Rogers Park. I got no pets. It's a beautiful day today. I hope you take advantage of Evanston and the lakefront. I love using the boat rentals and the kayaks and the canoes, the surf or the surfboards, not the surfboard. You know what they mean. I'm going to keep blabbering until you either all leave or until you ask more questions. Okay, what's the most common quarters for students to participate? Excellent question. And I don't think I can answer that anymore because we now have approximately 100 students in the fall, 150 in winter, 150 in spring, and 125, 150 in summer. So, you know, again, we're going to keep adding classes as long as the college funds us to teach you. That's sometimes a battle. But we try to make a case. And if ever I needed you to go to the deans to say, look, this is a good program, fund it, then we can add sections and add courses, especially for our courses that meet some of your distribution requirements, because our modern workplace looks at the history of labor over time, and that counts towards your history distro. Keep that in mind. And then our humanities course counts toward your fine arts and literature for those in Weinberg. Though in our humanities course, our instructor is so good, she's able to have you be in finance or consulting or business ops or marketing or advertising or health and medicine and participate in that humanities course. She uses art, poetry, literature, TV, media as a source of examining work and then using your experiences to dive deeper into those issues, like inappropriate humor in the workplace, for example. So The Office is a part of her course for sure. All right, do the courses taken and internships have to coincide? We try, that's our goal. So we know that our legal field studies, it's really better to have a legal internship, but it's not necessarily required. In fact, for the fall, we have such demand that we've got a couple of students in business because they're thinking about getting their JD and an MBA later on. So the goal is that you would be in a health and medicine related internship while you're taking public health. But the business can attract students in nonprofits and humanities and all different industries. And that's what makes the course and the sharing pretty rich, because you get to spy on other students' internships and learn about a field, even if it tangentially, right? So, or can students take CFS courses that fall outside the general realm of their internships? So the answer is yes, you can. Though we try to have it matched as best as we can. The environment, again, that really helps to be in an environmental or sustainability. We've got some environmental consulting firms, so it would still be business, right? It could still be a business internship. We do have a few environmental consulting. Obviously, we need to do more with our corporations, and there's some exciting new organizations that are really trying to guide and consult with employers to deal and attend to their own carbon footprint as well. All right, Sarah, I'm glad you joined us, and you take care. Come back for another information session. You'll have to do that before you apply. There's an online, and it's a little bit more in detail than I gave you. But for now, you're getting a good feel for field studies as a first year or as a transfer student. As a transfer, put us on your horizon sooner than later. I would love to work with you. And for the winter quarter, the application due date is September 30th. So again, let me share with you what the timeline is for applications so you don't miss out. That's one thing that we are trying to hold a little bit faster to. So I'm sharing my screen, and on our screen, the tab application information, there's application periods. So you'll see that winter, we want everyone to apply by September 30th. We will welcome late applications, especially students with their own internships, but I'll probably accept internships until we're filled. Again, what we're trying to do is work with you, advise you in the month of October. I send your resume out third or fourth week of October. You interview then and in November. So you're finished and you've got offers to decide among by Thanksgiving or by early December before you step into finals. So that's why we get your application early. Spring is our hottest quarter. Not hot temperature, but hot in terms of demand. So again, you don't want to miss out on these deadlines of early December for spring CFS. And remember that some of our employers will use field studies as a pipeline for future hiring. So I have many alumni who've got their jobs through Chicago Field Studies. That's not the purpose of the program. I have to just reinforce that. However, students may get, let's say you do us in spring or winter, and that employer really likes you and you like them, they may invite you to do a summer internship with them. And at that stage, depending on the employer, we'll either ask you to do a different CFS course or allow you just to intern. But it depends on the field and the demand. I have a good sense after 15 years of what employers are in demand. What else would you like to know? Anything? I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I went to school in the Midwest 100 years ago, but I stayed because I love it. I'm a Midwest girl at heart. I have family all over the country, in New York, to Colorado, to California, so I like to go visit. Maybe I'll visit you. I've got a couple of alumni students who are in New York, and I've gone to visit them at their workplaces. So I like to stay, develop connections, and my role here is to serve you, right? It's to help you figure it out. So take advantage of field studies. We're here for you, and thank you.